And now we're live.
Hello.
Dylan, how are you?
Doing great. How about you, Billy?
So much better now that we dropped the dead weight over here.
Now it's just called the WD ratio, WD-40.
The WD-40, but neither of us are 40. And if you add up our ages, it's not a good look.
it's over 40 now.
It's over 40. Let me transition to the right screen. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
Chat, hope you're doing well. We have some big breaking news to discuss tonight.
Big.
This black myth WuKong, man. It's taking the world by storm.
I'm happy that it's not, what do they call it, vaporware?
Where it just shows up and then disappears overnight.
And it was like horrible. Like, what was it? Not The Last of Us, but The Left Behind or whatever. I thought WuKong was going to be that. For the longest time, I was like, no way this is real. This is going to be a crappy game. It's real.
It's real, and 2.5 million people are playing it at the same time.
Which is on Steam.
Which apparently is a option for them to, for most Chinese players to actually play the game. But it's not all. So it's not like there's the
not
player
a full
base is even
accurate
higher.
Number, yeah.
It's like when Pal World came out. Like most of the people, I would assume, were playing through Game Pass because it was like online and free.
Yeah.
Through the Game Pass subscription, but yet still set insane numbers. I think this now is. I'll have to pull up the charts on this, but it's insanely high. We really have no context for what this game is, or what it looks like and stuff. So
we tried to stream some of it before hopping on here just to see what it was. It looks fun. It looks very interesting. It's not a day one buy for me. I'm going to research it a little bit more because just from the little segment we watched, and granted, we were watching like a specific slice of some streamer. It looked very empty in between boss fights. Like you're just kind of walking through this expanse and there's nothing. I mean, I could be wrong, but like I said, we only watched a little slice of it. So for me, I personally might wait for it to go on sale or something before I give it a try, because I have other games and stuff that I'm playing right now. What about you, Billy? Were you intrigued enough to buy it?
No. That doesn't mean it's a bad game. I think we collectively watched it for 20, 30 minutes. It was not like that was our due diligence here. So take it with a massive grain of salt. We also were watching it, not playing it. Combat looks interesting. The visuals look great. Voice acting seems great. The world seems interesting. Feels empty though. Also, I have some critiques about like the color palette. Felt like a lot of the areas that we were seeing, especially, we were kind of zooming through different stuff, so we got to see not just like a slice, but like a big chunk of different people's and the level design seemed very linear, which is not a knock. I don't need everything to be open world, but also it felt like it was. It felt like it was single color palette. Like a lot of the areas, it was like, okay, this is going to be our gray area. This could be our blue area. This could be our dark area. It felt kind of plain from that perspective. But combat looks fun. 2.5 million people are playing it. I read an article that it was talking about the Chinese market because over 90% of the player base for this game is Chinese. And so I was reading that they don't really get a lot of single player games of this caliber released to their market. So, and it definitely is appealing to that audience.
Yeah.
Through the WuKong lore and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It didn't blow my mind from watching it going like, this is like a transformative game, but I'm sure it plays well and is a lot of fun. I played Liza P. When Liza P was like, looks very similar and plays very similar to this game, seemingly. And that was a fun game. So, I mean, it's not a knock.
Yeah.
So
we'll keep our eye on it. See what happens. Do you think Kyle's interested in it at all?
Probably not, to be honest.
Probably not. Oh, I forgot. We kicked him out of the podcast. So
yeah, who cares about him?
Who cares about his opinion?
We miss you.
We miss you.
We miss you.
Come back.
So it's currently second all time in concurrent players peak.
That's
It beat
crazy.
out CS Counter-Strike 2, and it beat out Pal World. That's insane. And we're not even like the 24-hour peak is the all-time peak. So there's still like the chance for this to go even crazier. Like when we hit the weekend and NA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. I mean, 1 million people are playing it like right now, which is crazy to think about. I guess let me share my screen. Let's look at these charts here. Let me zoom in a little bit. But yeah, you've got PUBG, which is the all-time
With
reigning king.
3.2 mil.
That's just insane. If they ever come out with like a Portal 3 or something like that, oh man, that could rival that, honestly.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Where's Portal 2?
People don't realize how big. Well, Portal 2 came out like decades ago.
Yeah, but like Postal's up there.
Yeah, but Portal 2, I don't think would. I don't know. That's my interpretation. I think it would literally rival it. Like if Valve released their own game.
Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
Portal 3. I'm a big fan of Portal.
I honestly
Half-Life,
think
but
Portal 3 would probably rival it, honestly.
do you think they'll ever make a third of any of their games?
No. Yeah, probably.
Eventually? Someday?
2011 it came out. And that's like a game that you wouldn't get popular again after all these years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you've kind of played through that puzzle experience, you're not going to go back. So, I mean, all of these titles came out within the last 2 years.
Banana?
Oh, you haven't heard about this?
No. What's banana?
This is the craziest thing ever. You literally go in and you click on a banana. And that's the game.
And wow.
Yep.
That got number 9.
Yep. You've never seen gameplay of banana?
I have not.
Let's pull it up on stream.
Banana gameplay.
Right here. Here's your full walkthrough. It's loaded up. There you go. You just click on the banana.
Why?
This is important. This is life altering.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I believe you can buy blue bananas for $5.
You can buy
There's
blue banana?
Microtransactions.
There's
I think so. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure there's microtransactions in this game. But this is the game. It is, as you can see, banana is 9th all time in all time peak.
917,000 people playing it.
I think it was a free to play game, so that's also, and it was just sort of a meme.
And then the internet took it over.
100%. Like a lot of the top streamers played it, and then it popped off. But the craziest thing about that is there's 334,000 people apparently playing it right now.
That's more than.
Guys, why don't you give
Dota.
this Retro Games Hub a nice subscribe, because this is riveting gameplay walkthrough.
20 minutes. First 10. No commentary too. He knows where it's at. That we don't want to hear anybody talk. We just want to see those sweet banana clicks.
Unbelievable. But that's the game.
What does the comments look like
On what?
on that video?
Probably banned. Humans are devolving.
Bro was
a month ahead of the curve. Apparently, he probably published this video before it
3
popped
months
off,
ago.
Probably. No need to click. Just leave the game running, and it'll give you things. There it is.
Damn.
Let's see the current player. What do you think people are playing right now? What's
WuKong?
amazing is how dominant Baldur's Gate still is. Like regularly, still getting 100,000 people playing it.
Well, they're about to release a big update here soon too. It's gonna add a new ending and more.
Whoa!
I think so. People
a new
are
ending to the 150 endings that exist.
Yeah.
Whoa.
they're and I think they're gonna add. Do you remember Alfira?
No.
She's the bard that if you're the Dark Urge, you kill her.
No.
No. Oh well. So people, data miners found
Is she from Act 3?
No, she's in Act 1.
Yeah, it's been so long, I don't remember.
But data miners have found there's for some reason she has like companion dialogue now. Not they don't know if she's a full companion or a temporary companion, but it looks like they might add a new companion, which would be cool. Because she seems like she should be part of it. She's in every act. We don't have a bard in like the squad, so maybe
Wow.
riveting
Changes
stuff.
everything.
I know Kyle would have been invested.
Are you going to go through a whole playthrough just to access
Probably.
that? Really? No.
I mean,
You're willing to dedicate? Like, is that enough? Like, is
That-
that a? You just said you started this by saying they're about to have a massive update,
yeah.
and they're going to add a few lines of dialogue, and that's a massive update.
No, well, there's more stuff.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's
what's
not-
up? What else?
They haven't really said. They just said it's going to be big.
Oh, okay.
There's a new ending.
They're
The
hyping it
only thing they told us was there's a new ending and more. So
Baldur's Gate
for
4,
the game.
the game.
So I mean, that's not enough to make me replay, but I have been wanting to replay anyways. So like I might pick it up once that update comes out. Just because I've already been wanting to replay it.
I'm looking at this list of all these top games right now, and it's actually kind of crazy to see this. There's we've got like Naraka Blade Point. I love seeing that on there. Path
Well, this
of
is the current
Exile.
players, right?
This is current as of right now as we live stream.
I heard Final Fantasy just got released on PC.
Terraria. Final Fantasy?
Yeah.
Which one?
Like the newest one.
Ooh.
It's not up there though, so.
Football Manager 2024 right there, baby.
Sick.
That sounds like not that great of a game, to be honest. Football Manager? Like, what are you managing a team? I know people get really into those, like in EA games, where they just really love to see themselves.
Gary's mod is still hanging around.
Dude, it's like all these games that have just been holding, like Sims 4, to just have
Skyrim,
everyone by the balls.
22,000.
Because you see these games that like pop off because they just came out, like is Once Human, did that come out recently? July 9th, 2024. So yeah, I mean, that
It's
just
new.
came out last month, but then like everything else, like these are goats. You get these things that pop off like Black Myth, WuKong, little bit pops off, but like Counter-Strike 2 launched 12 years ago. And here we are with 650,000 players playing it right now.
Right now.
That's amazing. I wish we could see a database of all platforms.
That would be cool. Yeah, have all the numbers.
That's
'Cause
why
this is
why I
Steam.
love Steam so much, because they just publish all this stuff. And it's not good or bad. It's like, there's pros and cons, but I think the net is very, very positive.
Yeah.
And we can come in here and see, our favorite games and look up their titles and see when they've gotten popular and how popular expansions were. And this expansion wasn't as popular as that expansion, whatever it is. Like, we can go through the ebbs and flows of these games. I think it's such a powerful tool.
Yeah. So didn't you say kind of segueing to our next segment, Guild Wars 2? An expansion
Correct.
just came out.
Janthir
right?
Wilds literally came out at 9 a.m. today.
Why were the players for it?
Guild Wars 2 is on Steam. In fact, let
see if we can
me
find
pull
it.
it up. Guild Wars 2 is on Steam, but I bet you it's probably has, I'm going to guess, before we pull it up, I'm going to guess it has 10,000 players playing it at most. 10,000.
4,000
What does it say?
right there.
Yeah. So that's generally actually where it hovers around. So let's pull up the charts for this.
Well, there's a big
Let's see,
bump.
what did it peak? Well, yeah, because of the expansion. So 8,000. Yeah, 7,100. This game came out in 2012. And if you have ever bought or played it before this year, I think, maybe even last year, you play it through their own launcher.
Oh,
Only if you bought the game through Steam do you show up
play it?
here. So you've got 8,000 people or 7,000 people peaking in the last 24 hours. I would wager that number is probably north of 200,000
on their launcher.
The cumulative platforms. Yeah, I'm actually kind of shocked. Like, it's very. You would have to come into Guild Wars 2 within the last year or two, and purchase it and launch it through Steam to be able to show up on that number.
Huh.
So yeah, but I would bet that the amount of people. Let's just put it this way. Let me pull this up on Twitch. Let's see. Let's pull this up here. I like to see this is a good show of energy around a game. Is kind of seeing how many people are, watching it
on Twitch.
So we'll do games. This is a different UI than because we're not logged in.
Virtual casino, baby.
I don't want streams. I want the actual, where's the categories? I just want to see categories. Can I not see that oh, here we go. Categories. Here, Guild Wars 2. So right now, 28,000 people are watching this game. So, you know, what, 5, 10x that for people who aren't watching the game, playing the game.
Just playing it?
Yeah, so. But that's actually, that's really great for Guild Wars 2 because usually Guild Wars gets anywhere from 500 to 2,000 people watching it. So this is huge for them. They're doing, so Twitch does these things called drops. So you watch the channel and you passively get in stuff for in-game.
Yeah.
So they drop, it's like a sponsorship between the two platforms and, you get unique items and stuff like that. So it's kind of quirky. You have to watch a stream for 10 hours, but it supports a lot of these content creators, which is really good. But yeah, this Janthir Wilds just dropped today. And basically their Guild Wars 2 ArenaNet is on a 1-year expansion model. And the way it works is their expansion is not day one. There's not this. You wouldn't think of it as an entire expansion of content. It's still a shitload of stuff to do, but it isn't like a World of Warcraft expansion because they just don't have the development team to keep up with that pace. Because the expansion was only $25, so it's really cheap to get this content. And so what you do is you get 2 new maps, and these maps are massive. And then you get a chunk of the story content. They came out with their homesteading feature, which is
the home building.
Yeah, home building and a lot of creative stuff there. And then they released a new weapon type, which is spears. So that's what you get at launch. And then in 2 or 3 months, they're going to come out with the raid and another big chunk of the story and a couple other features. And then another 3 months, they'll come out with
so it's almost like
dungeons and things like that.
It's almost like a season.
Literally. And so that's why they shift. They always did that. So ArenaNet, they are so interesting because they could have monetized their platform so much more than they have. So originally they called it Living World, and if you logged in once during that 3-month period, you got full access to the content for free. And then if you didn't log in during those 3 months, all you had to do was literally log in and close the game. You'd be fine. You would just unlock it. And so they were giving their content away for free. You just played the game. And their sales were kind of dropping because the players sort of fell off and they couldn't keep up, and so they couldn't monetize it. Then they were like, okay, we can't really do that. But they did that for 5 years, where they were just coming out with seasons and stuff. They never really called it seasons, but I guess it was literally Living World. That's what they called it. And then they shifted to their expansions model, Heart of Thorns, and it probably when Heart of Thorns dropped, that a lot of people would say that was peak Guild Wars 2 because that's when raids first came out and a huge chunk of other content. Well, and then they kind of went away from expansions. They got away from that, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna do Living World and expansions, and it was kind of weird, and it was these big droughts between expansions of content. It would be here you go, every quarter you get 2 to 4 hours of story content and maybe a new map and stuff like that. And it wasn't enough to really bring in a bunch of revenue because, again, they're just giving this content away.
Yeah.
And it's not a subscription-based game. You're just playing the game and you get this access for free. And what they've switched to now, which I think is their most popular model, this is the second iteration in this model, which is an expansion every year. And one that sells a hell of a lot better because now they can sell it for $25 or whatever it is to their player base. And you get sort of like this big initial amount of content, like homesteads and the new spears, and like that's really cool. And then it trickles out, like you get your like living world stuff or whatever. So you will probably get a couple fractals, which are like dungeons in like 6 months. We'll get the new raid in 3 months. And then a few weeks after the raid comes out, they're going to come out with like the challenge mode and then the legendary challenge mode. So your hardcore audience can like push that. So there's like a lot of really cool stuff that way. That's going to sort of release. So it's much more digestible, but it keeps the development team honest and keeps them on like a regular pace. They can kind of build that out and keep pace with development while still generating revenue. And so Guild Wars 2 actually this past year saw an increase in revenue for like the first time in a while.
Wow.
Year over year. So that's really good to see like the game growing again.
So did you play it yet?
No, I was working today. Like I said, it came out at 9 a.m. And I haven't had a chance to play it, but I did watch streams of it. I had it on in the background.
How's it look?
It's very dialogue heavy for their story narrative. They introduced this new race, which is called the Coden, which are like bears. They're not new, I guess, but they're like bears. And they kind of talk slow, and it's like a lot of narrative stuff, but their voice acting is fucking cool. The new maps look really cool. Guild Wars 2 does such a great job with vertical design since they introduced mounts, because you can do so much with verticality. Such as like they have a Springer mount, which really jumps high in the air. Then you have like two different gliders. One called the Sky Scale that you can like it's literally like a dragon that you can fly around, and then another called a Griffin, which is like super fast. If you can get to a height, you basically like nosedive. It's one of the most satisfying mounts in any game I've ever played. You get to the highest point in a map, and you can nosedive off, and you accelerate, and then you carry that acceleration, I think, pretty much forever. And you can literally rip across these massive maps so fast. You're gliding through. I'll have to show you some clips of it because it's so beautiful, and it's so satisfying to play and kind of experience the game that way. But they do such a great job with the verticality in these games. The two maps look cool. They have world bosses introduced with them that are mechanically intense. Like they're actually kind of challenging. They were failing a few times today, and there's a couple bugs still with them, but you do have to kind of pay attention. The bosses are sort of linked, and they're feasting on what's called this like bloodstone energy. And if you don't kill them at roughly the same time, then basically the whole map wipes, and then it resets and stuff.
Wow,
so it's on like a 2-hour timer and stuff like that. Their new maps aren't. So they used to have maps, and this isn't a model they haven't abandoned, but their maps historically have had like a meta event. So like you could think of it as a 2-hour timer, let's say roughly, and an hour and a half of that is like preparations, right? You're reinforcing different places, you're helping out certain groups and whatever, and then that last 30 minutes is when the meta is going on. And that's when you see like a huge influx of players because like there's a lot of really great rewards to be had. And then the meta takes on, and you go and you usually kill some crazy boss, and then you move on. And it resets generally like every 2 to 4 hours, depending on the map. Well, there's some good and bad with that. It generally means like these maps don't have a lot of people playing, or there's no point in playing on those maps unless it's the meta. So you go from like an abandoned map to all of a sudden there's a shitload of people running around like doing this. And I get like before it was really cool. I thought it was kind of a neat system. They had participation, so you can only get the best rewards if you participated in the events on that map. And it took a while to build those up. And then you, based on your preparations, would give you different tiers, and you would have access to different events on those maps. So like you really wanted to get on a map early, do all the prep events, build all the whole map's reinforcements and stuff like that, and get everything tier 4, tier 5, whatever. And then your meta event would go on. And so like it was kind of a cool system, and then you would get like max rewards. It was a really cool system. They kind of moved away from that, and then what it turned into was like basically just meta trains where people were map hopping with based on what was up at that time. So they go and do this map's meta, then this map's meta, and that's sort of what the gameplay loop was. So it's a little weird. This game, the two new maps that they came out with are not meta driven, so it doesn't like make your whole. Basically, there's more reason to be there than just for the meta event. And so what happens in this is they have world bosses that are just not really tied to a meta. They just sort of spawn, and now you have to sort of participate in this mega event. But it's not like the whole map is living and breathing based on that meta.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh. Well, that's cool that they kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, and the story seems kind of interesting loosely. Like we kind of stumble upon a wizard, and it's like a Coden, and we don't really know much about it yet, and the story sort of unfolds over time. But you get introduced to this new race, essentially, and they introduce homesteading in kind of a cool way.
Can you be a Coden?
No.
They're an NPC race.
Correct, yeah. There's 5 different playable races that you can be in Guild Wars 2. You can be a human, you could be a Char, which is this guy right there, Ritlock Brimstone. You could be a Najura, which is like these little dudes
Little
that I am.
elves.
I love those. Yeah, and they're like your researcher race. You could be Sylvari, and you could be Norn, which are basically humans but really big. They're just big.
Giants.
Yeah, from the north. And from a development standpoint, they were really smart. They used the model of the Norn, but then just put like a bear head on them. So that like from a development resource standpoint, a lot of the armors still work for them. So they can,
that's cool.
So like any armor that they designed for them could be applied to the Norn, right? So it's not wasted, right? It's kind of scales. They don't have like this new NPC model that they have to model stuff for. Exactly. So that's really, I think, what the biggest thing that ArenaNet has learned is like, okay, we're going to develop. So they do a story instance, and in this story, you get introduced to this boss. Okay, and then you defeat this boss, and it's like the lightest version of him. But then that boss is also like the world boss that gets scaled up and has all these extra powers and health and juiced up. But then that's also like the raid boss, and he has different mechanics there. So like they find a way to like create a model, create some mechanics around it, but then utilize that in different instances. And it doesn't feel bad because it's so different. The setting is so different, and the reason why they're there is so different that they're reusing these assets, but it saves them, a shitload of time development resources.
So it doesn't feel like a recycled fight?
Not at all. Like there's this one really cool fight. You fight like Scarlet Briar, and she's like, the fight from the raid to the story is completely different, but like the what it looks like is very similar, but they just have different phases and different how it plays out is completely different. So it feels very fresh.
Huh.
But from like an art standpoint, you don't have to go and generate a bunch of, animations for movements and stuff like that.
A whole bunch of new stuff.
So you get to reuse a lot of that shit. So yeah.
Are you excited to play it?
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. I've been grinding my ass away. So what I'm trying to get right now is my legendary armory. So I took such a break that they came out with legendary trinkets, and I'm working my tail off to get all of my legendary trinkets. I have a plan to get them all by the end of this year. So, and I'm definitely ahead of schedule on that.
Ahead of schedule.
Yes.
Did you make an Excel sheet?
Oh, multiple. Like undoubtedly. So you should see it. I'm tracking 18 different things.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I fucking love it.
So
it's the only way, baby. And that's not the only way. It's just the way I do it. Because I'm nuts.
It is funny how everybody plays games so differently. So like, well, anything else you want to say about Guild Wars before I kind of change it?
No, I think the response publicly has been positive. Very interesting. So yeah.
Well, awesome. I can't wait to hear your impression once you get your hands on it.
I can't wait. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I was going on like I think it's interesting how everybody has different play styles, and kind of segue into, I've still been playing Zenless Zone Zero that I brought up last week. It's a gacha live service game. it's very interesting now that I'm fully into it. Like I never played Genshin. I didn't like I tried it. I didn't like the combat and I gave up on it.
About
Um
Honkai Star Rail.
I didn't play that one either. This one I play, I really like the combat. And like the fans say this is their best combat that they have in the game in their games. But it's interesting on how the game is. But I'll touch on that in a sec. I want to say how people play games differently, right? So I got the game, and it's a gotcha game, so it's RNG. You know, you randomly roll, and you get certain characters, and you can buy user profiles with specific roles of characters.
Okay.
Right? So I got one character I wanted, but I didn't get another. I was talking with my other friend who plays the game, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I had to buy this account because I wanted this specific character and it had this specific role." I was like, "Whoa!" And like, and then
you buying it from the game store or like online?
Online, like it's a market.
Oh God, that is so cringe. Oh,
It's wild,
God.
right?
Okay.
And so like I'm like, "Oh,
That is so cringe. Okay.
So, he's like, "Oh, you should think about buying it because I missed like I guess the way that Hoyo Games is who makes Genshin, the way that they do their gotchas is it's like when they have a character banner, it's probably about 6 months until they show up again. So like if you don't get them, you're gonna wait probably 6 months, and then you can try again.
Mm-hmm.
So he was telling me that, and I'm like, like it's fine. I was hoping I could get him, but he's like, "Oh, you should just buy it." And I'm like, but like it's weird because that's a solution for him, right? Like that's his logical solution. It's like, "Oh, I can just buy a profile that has that character." For me, it's not. Maybe it's a little bit of pride of like, when I start a game like that, an RNG game, I want it to be my
Your authentic
unique
experience.
experience. Yeah, I don't want to like play the system, but then it also makes sense if the system is playing me, why don't I play back? Like but I just thought that was really interesting when I found out about it. There's a market for profiles with different roles.
A lot of these live service games, like you can go on eBay and buy different level of accounts that have certain things unlocked or whatever. I actually got into a recent discussion with a friend of mine at there's a guy we used to play with who has the most valuable, like, so that yours too has an API, so we can definitively know, as long as they've linked their API, who has the most valuable account because it tracks certain things. And this guy in particular has the most valuable account.
Wow.
And he's been playing for years, and he's the absolute definition of a spreadsheet warrior. He's a fucking beast. And anyway, we were talking about how much someone would be willing to pay for that. And it was like in the tens of thousands for this one account because of how valuable it is of what's been unlocked. And I just couldn't fathom that because it's just like he basically has like everything unlocked, and there's still so much left for him to do. When you hear about like how he's talking about like what he wants to accomplish, it's like, Jesus, you still have found things to still grind after 40,000 hours and all this shit that you're doing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, he does like drop rate research for like the forums and stuff like that. Like he just opened 2 million of these types of boxes for like a certain festival and published all of his research of like what dropped and what his return was and stuff like that. So it's unbelievable the depths to which some of these players go. But I just couldn't imagine like him putting up his account for sale and like somebody out there going, "I'd spend 50 grand on that."
Yeah,
Think of World of Warcraft. Like I bet you the top accounts in World of Warcraft that have certain mounts or certain stuff that you can't even get in the game anymore. I'd love, you know what? While you follow up and continue with your story, like I'm gonna look up what the highest sale was for a WoW account.
Yeah,
I bet you it's in the hundreds of thousands. Undoubtedly.
I'm curious. Next part I wanted to touch on while Billy pulls that up is that so I play it on PlayStation, right? But it's a mobile game. And I haven't played Or it's like I've played gotcha games before, and like their goal is to get you to sign back in eventually and kind of play it, and keep you engaged. So what I find interesting, I finally reached the point in this game's Endless Zone Zero of where it's requiring me to log in. Like it's requiring me to do every day. Like almost like if I want to make progress, I have to I can only do so much in a day and then I log off. It's not a game where I can just play it until I can keep proceeding. No, but it's not a hard like difficulty gate or anything like that. It just feels like I could bang my head against the wall, or if I wait a day, I'd have a lot more fun. And it's just an interesting game like design that I don't quite like, but I get why it exists. It's because it's a mobile game, and it like that's how they are.
Yep.
But it's just interesting where it's like, for example, Grand Blue, that one's not live service. If I wanted to dedicate the time to play it, I could make it as far as I can in one day. This game, because there's like resources that have to regenerate, like energy and stuff, I have to wait. I played a certain amount and then I'm done for today. And that's what they want me to do, which is weird. But yeah. What was
so
the largest
interesting.
sale?
Well, it looks like there's been regularly accounts sold for like almost like around $10,000, but apparently this guy just grinds World of Warcraft and like buys and sells accounts and does other stuff as well. And he made $500,000 in 3 years selling maybe gold or just accounts
Wow.
through buying and selling them. So yeah, there's a market to be had for this kind of
That's
shit.
crazy. He's made $500,000
$500,000
just by day trading World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft accounts. Yep. It's kind of insane. Some of these, I found a bunch of articles linking, because it's not really, you can't really talk about like selling accounts. It's against the terms of service. But I found an article from 2007 of a guy who sold his account for $9,500 in 2007.
Oh my God.
So I can only imagine the accounts that are 20, 30 years old that have, 40, 50, 60,000 hours played on them with all the stuff that comes with that unlocked, what those would go for. I think you probably hit a point where anybody in their right damn mind probably wouldn't sell it after that much investment.
Yeah.
It's like it's a part of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what's more sentimental than something like that?
I have so I used to play AFK Arena a lot.
Big time.
And I have a used to be stacked account. I've
Stopped playing for a month and everything went to shit.
yeah, well I've stopped playing for like a year now. But it's like I've thought about selling it, but then a part of me is like, no, that's mine. Like I did all that work.
How much could you sell it for?
Nothing.
I was
Probably
gonna
because
say
it's old.
50 cents.
But like at the time I probably could have sold it for but like at what, $50 or something.
I wonder, do you think you spent more in charging your phone with power and electricity than you would be able to collect back?
Probably.
You think so?
For specific games, probably.
You think people would buy your AFK Arena account? Is that a thing where people buy that shit?
I'm sure.
Really?
I'm sure.
Have you ever sold an account before?
No.
League of Legends, I sold my
Yeah?
account. I sold it for $100. Yeah, sold it for $100 in 2013. I was max level. I had a few hundred games of ranked. I was not a high rank. I never really did that. I played a lot of just games, but not I didn't really try for ranked. That was not my scene. League is another level of toxic. And I had some champion skins on there and stuff like that. All in all, I don't know how. I probably spent maybe $100, $200 on the game, but ended up selling it for $100 to a guy. I think he probably got banned on his main,
no.
and that's probably why he bought it. He was a huge League of Legends player for years, so I don't know why he bought mine. He just said at the time, he just told me he wanted a second account. I doubt that, but yeah, I gave him it, said, "Here you go, have fun," and that was that.
Interesting. Huh.
$100.
It's crazy, that market. Like, I can guarantee if Kyle were here, that seemed like the most alien thing to him.
Buying
Or
achievements.
Buying or selling accounts or like profiles.
Yeah, because see, maybe there's some logic in my brain that's why I like the live service games, because of no matter what I'm doing, there's technically a dollar value associated with it. Like, no one ever is going to buy your copy of Elden Ring.
I mean, GameStop might.
No.
Yeah, they will.
What do you mean? You bought it digitally.
Yeah.
What? I don't
if I had a
understand your
physical
point.
copy. Pre-owned, you know?
I don't. Can you even buy pre-owned games anymore? Because you link it.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You need the disc. We'll see, but that's the thing.
Well, I'm talking about your account.
I know.
Though, not
I
just
could
the
sell
copy.
my PS account. They get access to all my games.
Okay, so that's a totally different reason for value.
Yeah.
Because now you're buying and selling the game itself, which is valuable, not what you did in it.
Yeah.
Right? No one's like, you got platinum on Elden Ring? I want to buy that.
So I can have platinum.
$3? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But it's the game itself. See, that I could definitely see. Because how many games on PlayStation do you have?
A lot.
You can still trade in. Like, how does that work? Because you have to create an account and shit and link a product. I thought they tried to get rid of that years ago.
You can trade in. You like, as long as it's the physical copy.
Which who the fuck does that?
Because when you have the CD, it still downloads the game, and the CD is more of like an activation code. So if you don't have the CD, you can't play the game that's downloaded on your system.
Yeah, but this is dead.
I know,
Consoles
but I'm just
don't even have.
I'm saying that's how it works.
Right.
Is the CD is the key?
But that is such a dead thing anymore, right? Like, I get that you can do it, but because consoles sell with like digital only.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you go and you buy this game, and then you end up just downloading the game and all and then anytime forever in the future, right? You have to have that disc.
You have to have the disc.
So fucking stupid, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's so dumb.
Yep.
I hated everything about that with the PS4 because that's how it worked.
Where
had
you
to have
needed the
disc in.
CD.
And it was like, I know the game ain't fucking downloading or booting from this disc.
Yeah.
Like,
I just had to download
this whole
20 gigs.
frickin' disc that could hold, all this data is basically a product code.
Yep.
a 30-digit product code. Unbelievable. I really want to know how much business GameStop still does, like, of buying and selling games. Or if they have,
Probably
like,
not
some
much.
dude, like, because you would think that everybody's taking old as shit games to them right now, just dumping all their physical copies.
Yeah. Well, I bet a lot of I bet they still get a lot of like old consoles.
Yeah, but what's the market for that stuff? I know that they don't really sell those in store, so they sell them somehow.
So
auction them off and
yeah, because I mean, that's the only reason I would go to GameStop is to like sell my console. Like that, I wouldn't turn in a game, but I would sell my console. Like if the next one comes out or whatever. Because I don't have a PC.
Yes, you do.
I do.
You lame ass.
It's old.
No, it's
and
not.
I have a Steam Deck.
You
I
need to play
downloaded
that.
Baldur's Gate to play with Billy.
You said this last time, and I just somehow don't believe it.
It's because he answers like this, where he's like,
Mm.
I don't want to play it with you.
I never said I didn't want to play it. I said I don't. What with you? I just don't. I will play it. Not really. I don't want to play that game.
See?
I'm being
Finally.
honest. No, finally.
The truth.
It's just, like, I will play if that's what we're all doing and we make a thing of it. Sure. It's so role fucking play. I liked Divinity Original Sin's combat system so much, and Baldur's Gate 3 left me with fat blue balls. It was so boring compared to that. And I know Kyle's probably watching this going, but it's the 5e edition of D&D. I don't care. Okay? It sucked to play as a game. As a board game? Hell yeah. Let's do the whole RP. That's what we're there for. Fine. Let's do that. Not when I'm, mouse and keyboard in it. I just can't have it.
You can't. They're not the same thing.
If your game is basically me watching a fucking movie, I'm not interested.
That's not Baldur's Gate, though.
Literally, dude, all that game is cutscenes. They have 178 hours of cutscenes.
Yes, but the combat is very tactical.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Not anywhere near Divinity Original Sin, in my opinion. Now,
Well,
I
maybe
probably
not
just
near
fucking
that.
pissed off 18 people. But when you say tactical, I'm talking about a depth to the skills. In my opinion, that was not present, at least in the class that I played in the 2 or 3 that I controlled as well. It was like, are you standing next to them? You have these abilities. Go ahead and click that ability. Okay, now you're going to swipe. Like, that's not interesting. Before, there was like combo fields and things that you could put down and explode. And I know that there's a lot of that in Baldur's Gate, but I also hated the role play shit in it where as a wizard, I only had certain spells, but then I had to do a short rest, didn't refresh all those. I had to go and do a long rest. And then when you go and do the long rest, you have to go and build companionship with all your guys because they get the little thing above their head. So you got to go and talk. And it was just like, I get in a little squuffle and I have to spend 6 hours getting ready for the next fucking, thing or whatever. Here's Kyle. He says with a level 1 character, haha, such a wild take. I don't have a level 1 character.
You didn't have that high of a level on your wizard or whatever you chose.
Yeah, it might be level 1. I don't know. I made it all the way to maybe halfway through Act 2. Maybe almost all the way through Act 2. I don't know.
Where were you? Do you remember?
Dude, I don't even really remember. I made it. So they had the underpass and the mountain.
Uh-huh.
I went the mountain way, and I finished that whole mountain, and I got to this next village, and then like a building burned down, and I did like a handful of things after that, and that was about it. So I think like halfway through Act 2, if I remember correctly.
I'd say beginning of Act 2.
Beginning of Act 2. So there you go. But yeah, whatever level you're there. But no, I'm talking about a depth of skills compared to and letting me play the game. I'm sorry. I want to play the game. I don't need 179 hours of me trying to bang this chick.
You can skip through them. You don't have to do them.
Not really, because a lot of the dialogue options are gatekept by you like progressing. You can't just like you have dialogue options. You have to choose what your response is.
I know, but like you can go when you go quick or long rest, you can just go to sleep. You don't have to talk to them.
Yeah, but you guys trained me from Mass Effect fucking 1. That
Good,
you have
good.
to talk.
Good.
Yeah, and guess what? You lost me as a gamer. You've punted me out of your group. I'm no longer one of you. Kyle.
We
Dylan,
didn't do that.
Yes, you did.
How did
I am
we?
no longer there because it's not fun.
You did it.
I don't care about my companions' feelings after a fucking mission that I didn't even take them on. That's what I don't understand. I don't how could you possibly have anything new to say? I didn't do anything with you. I went and flew over here, did this, and now I gotta go through this elevator, go get out on the docks. Oh, let's chat through. Oh, I haven't had this option before. How's your dad? Okay, and now we're going on. Like, I don't get immersed in games. Like, let me play the game. Let the storytelling unfold to the game. That's what I like.
You are such a different gamer,
So
Billy.
different. I know. It's
like I thrive on that story stuff to where it's like
it's about the journey, Billy. We got Daniel flaming me.
The journey, not
Listen,
the destination.
You've lost me. I'm not one of you. You've kicked me out of your group. You've gotten too cliquey.
So
he's basically just rage baiting.
I think he is.
I think I'm
think
stroking the ego of many people who think like me, and they just never had the balls to say
many
this.
people.
There's dozens of us.
Yeah, dozens.
There's dozens of us. I swear. No, it's not a bad game. Listen,
No.
I think it's a great game. 107. It was revolutionary in terms of like driving a narrative and creative stuff, and it's like you could do anything in that game. It's really amazing. I will never knock it for that. But in terms of the combat, which is literally what I am focused on, boy, that was tough goings.
No, I get you. I mean, like, I understand that it's like, would you say the combat in Mass Effect was better? Is that what kind of got you through it, or was it just the love you have for me and Kyle?
I like the narrative
Of Mass Effect?
Yeah, Baldur's Gate is not interesting to me. I like the setting is. I don't really care about, like, it was like a weird fantasy. It felt like I don't know, like usually I'm into that fantasy stuff. It didn't feel like high fantasy. It felt like, I don't, was it low fantasy? I don't know what the term is, but it didn't pull me in. The setting, warriors and stuff like that, and some magic and stuff, but like no one was really like OP powerful. Like it was, I'm not even really describing it right, but it didn't pull me in from like a fantasy narrative. Mass Effect, the scale of that and the importance of it and what was going on, the whole Reapers thing, I was fucking sold on that. So that was enough for me. I will slog through to get the endings choices that I want, which I don't like that it's locked behind doing like everything, especially the one that I really wanted to choose. Like I had to fully prepare, but it was kind of cool. Like the gameplay that was demanded by achieving that was not boring. Maybe some of the mining stuff, which I actually though didn't mind the mining. I felt like it was like a mini puzzle, but definitely prefer the setting of Mass Effect to Baldur's Gate for sure. Narratively, I think Mass Effect beats the hell out of Baldur's Gate.
Well, I think, like,
what's Kyle saying? This would be like if we looked him in the eyes and said, Guild Wars sucks, and then proceeded to name the reasons why it sucks and all the reasons why it's all the reasons why he loves it. No, exactly. That is literally, I think, the point we're making is the things you guys value so much, I don't even like not mind. I actually like dislike, right? I actively dislike that. When I go, we were just watching WuKong stuff. And they had like a 4-minute short film in the middle of the game after you kill like a boss. Not interesting to me. Move on. What loot did I get? What upgrades can I now do? What abilities do I now have? I don't need a short film cutesy thing. That's not me. And I know you're probably like, wow, that's really cool.
Maybe if I was in the game, the slice we got, it was kind of boring because it's like, oh.
It was so different from the game.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Well, not a bad, like from an artistic standpoint, kind of cool. But me as a gamer, give me back to the gameplay. What the fuck? Yeah. Anyway. But it's funny, right? Like the things that you value, I can't stand.
Yeah, it is.
Although what's funny is I say that, but I wish we had more dialogue or interaction with the Reapers, because that would have been cool. I want a movie of Mass Effect. That's we don't need to talk about this. We've talked about this ad nauseum.
And I think you're, at least with Baldur's Gate, I do believe that the first act is definitely the strongest story-wise. Second act is good. Third act is where it kind of goes. It's good, but it's a lot. It's almost too much stuff. So
I don't know what we're doing in Baldur's Gate.
Like, you're just trying to get the tadpole out of your head. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, personally, I don't like stories that like want me to do side quests, but then also say, "Oh, you got something in your brain killing you," and I'm like, "Well, then why would I do side quests?" Like,
let's rush to get this alien out of my fucking head, right?
Yeah. But they solved that by saying that the relic is guarding your brain or whatever. But what Kyle say? We're not completely opposite, so I like good gameplay. I don't just completely ignore it. Haha.
I think that goes for, it's definitely, I think there's a spectrum, right? Like, there's me who's insane, which is like I'm kind of all by myself.
You're like all gameplay.
Yeah.
Versus like narrative.
It's one reason why I like Elden Ring. I don't need to know what the fuck's going on. I don't need 20 minutes of dialogue or to read through descriptions and shit like that. Like, I'll get that from a YouTube video if I'm interested enough. I like that kind of storytelling. That's perfect, right up my alley. But you guys love Elden Ring, and then you also love the lore of that stuff. So, there's a spectrum, and I definitely know I'm on the crazy end, because even the most hardcore players that I play with on Guild Wars and other games as well, they still have to have the immersion, the story. They get fully wrapped up in that stuff, and I'm like, I play on mute and I'm listening to music and fucking clicking buttons to try and get through the story as fast. Like, I don't care. It doesn't, like, how do I get this green thing off my screen so I can move on with my life? That's what I'm going in for. Because it just, I don't, which is so funny because when I watch like film, like I really am a big story guy. I want that story to unfold, but I never feel like, I don't want to feel like the protagonist. I at least I don't feel like that in a movie. Like you watch a movie and you're kind of like observing a protagonist versus in a game, you are the protagonist. And maybe that's the limiting factor.
Question for you. We'll read this comment first, but the big point of Baldur's Gate is making choices.
100%.
What would be your example of like the perfect game that has combat to ratio or combat to story ratio?
Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Yeah.
That's the perfect example.
Yeah, because
but you said you do like story sometimes. Me.
Yeah, but like for me, if I were to design a game, it would be much more like the Elden Ring route, where it's like it's explored through world building, more than direct. But that's not to say like Mass Effect had a great story, and I loved it was such a, I don't know how to describe it. It was such a threat of what was going on and the potential, which is actually literally my direct issue is the whole point of like the second game, which was my least favorite. It's so funny because it's so backwards from what you guys think. But it's like, guys, we have that to deal with. Why do I care about like relationship building? Do you see that fucking thing? Like, what are we doing? Anything to just like the tadpole thing. Like, I want to get on that. I don't care about, this person.
See, but you don't feel that way about the third game?
No, dude, not at all.
Because that's the third game is the Reapers are there.
Yes.
And you're doing side missions.
The Reapers are there and we're doing Cerberus shit, right?
Yeah.
We're taking them down. I felt closer to it, like because they were. It felt like I was all around because that was the third game is the Leviathan stuff, right? That stuff is fucking cool, man. Like I feel like the third game is like this shit's about to happen and we are nowhere near prepared. Get prepared, and so it's like you're building your preparations as hard as you can.
But the second game is you're preparing for the suicide mission, not the Reapers. Like you're preparing to do this one mission. So that's why you're building the trust and building.
See, and I don't care about that.
And
because I know that there was a Mass Effect 3, and so that I know that we didn't really die. Although I guess I technically did.
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no. Do I die after 1?
Yeah.
Or 2? After 1.
You die at the beginning of 2.
Yeah. So, yeah, listen. I am way in the minority. I am what I am. And that's that. Okay.
Yep. Be proud of who you are.
I am damn proud of it. But as far as like narrative, I just don't get drawn into games like that. I don't know why. I really don't. Like I'm trying to think like Alien.
I also think it's like the type of games you play. I don't think you expose yourself to it too much. Like you have very small segments where you'll expose yourself.
Yeah, like that's a great point.
Yeah, you know what you like, so obviously you won't go try something that you're not interested in. But like for example, you've never played God of War, right?
No.
I love the narrative in God of War. And I wonder, like, would you think differently if you played that game? Like, would it change your view on the narrative? Like, would that be a narrative game you do like? But you don't expose yourself to those. Just like I don't really expose myself to MMOs and stuff. So
I almost like take it as separately because I really enjoyed my playthrough of Mass Effect, but I wouldn't put it in like my top 5 games ever, even though like narratively it's probably one of my favorite stories ever.
Yeah.
I love that storyline. I love the idea of what's going on there. So it's like when I talk about like the greatest game, the first thing that I think of, it has nothing to do with narratives.
So it's just like gameplay.
It's like, what did I do in that game that was fun?
Stuff.
Yeah.
See, and like,
and like to your point, like I play Guild Wars. I could play for months. Like, so the last expansion or the last part of the expansion dropped like 6 months ago. I haven't played a single story mission in 6 months yet. I probably played 300-400 hours.
Yeah.
There's no story. I'm just playing the game. playing the game. Imagine that. I'm playing the game. I'm not sitting there listening to the dialogue. I'm playing the game.
That's part of the game, though.
Nah.
There's no separation.
Gameplay is a broad spectrum. It's really hard to say something sucks just because it doesn't scratch your itch. Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing at what it's aiming at to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something. It's just
That something is
that
not
something
your
is
thing.
not your thing. 100%.
Totally makes
That's
sense.
literally what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I could appreciate Baldur's Gate for the art form that it is, and I think it was really amazing. We just went over it today a little bit, where 100,000 people are still playing that right now. Like, that's a huge success. I really love that it hit that niche for a lot of people. It's just you lose me. I bounce.
So now I would be interested to do a case study on you and Kyle as children. No, so did Kyle not have a PC growing up?
He had a PC before I did.
Did he use it?
Yeah. That's pretty sure that like, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but that's like all his Knights of the Old Republic was on PC.
Nice. That makes sense. So, but that's what he used the PC for, was like Knights of the Old Republic story games. Probably.
Yeah, like this is pre-internet games.
Pre-internet,
pretty
okay.
much. I mean, not really, but yeah.
But then when you got a PC, you
Mhm.
were strictly probably playing online.
Yeah,
Like-
let me tell you the story. So
Uh-huh.
my aunt moves in with us. She's playing a game called City of Heroes.
I mean, I know that, yeah.
Okay. I think they just came out with it again. And I went up to her room and I watched her play it. And I was like, this game's cool. I really love this game. And she had an Alienware PC, and it was fucking cool. For like, we're talking 2005. Dude, you're like, this is sick. This is an Alienware. Like,
Alien?
I used to bring over my friends. We would just walk in the room and I'd be like, look at the PC. You know, just the logo. And yeah, exactly. So that's what we would do. We would sneak in the room and I'd be like, look, it's an Alienware, you know. And then the second night ever, she played City of Heroes and she was kind of talking about the game. It was a superhero game and had a subscription. And I wasn't about that life. Even as like a fucking 8-year-old who didn't understand anything, I was like, I'm not paying monthly. Like, what the fuck?
To play a game?
I'm not going to ask my parents to pay monthly for a video game.
Yeah.
There's no shot. And then the second night I went into her room, she was doing a mission in Guild Wars 1 called Fort Rannoch, which is hilarious because she never really played that game. It just happened to be playing that game that night. And I watched her play it, and I was like, this looks legit. No subscription, you say? And I went downstairs and I asked my mom, I said, Mom, can I buy this game? Sure. We put it on this old 2000 Dell, ran probably 12 frames per second, took 3 days to download all the old same shit that you've ever heard of old games. And that's how I launched my life into Guild Wars 1.
See?
And I had no fucking clue what I was doing. I had no idea that like wikis didn't exist. I was purely in this world chatting with people looking for help, joining guilds and exploring it. And I tried to get every single person I knew in real life to play with me. And Kyle never did. Austin did. And he still plays to this day. I had a best friend at the time. He didn't touch it. My cousin came out to visit, David and Cole.
Uh-huh.
He watched me play it. The moment he got back home, he downloaded the game. And that was his first online game ever. Same thing with me. And we played the shit out of it. And then he jumped to old school RuneScape, World of Warcraft. And now he's doing everything, on his own. So I introduced a lot of people to a lot of people my age, to online gaming and stuff like that, because that was like a portal, and we walked through that together. I probably had the game for 6 to 8 months before, anyone I knew in real life had it. But that's how I got introduced to it, and I was hooked.
So I mean, it sounds like it's just, pretty much what we were exposed to as kids. Because Kyle in chat mentioned that, his dad and him strictly played RPGs and space sims, versus you, that was like your first big gaming experience was a what is Guild Wars classified as?
RPG. Mm-hmm.
But
MMORPG.
MMORPG. And like for me, like I only had like PlayStation, I only had consoles, so I was mainly just playing single player stories.
Yeah.
So that I get it now. I get it. I was wondering where the divide of you and Kyle was. Like I know it's not a big divide because you guys played Dark Souls together and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering what was the difference.
The difference is
Yeah.
Kyle is a massive nerd.
But I thought we're on a podcast for all things nerd.
And he had a very, very nerdy dad who like fueled that nerd fandom. My dad looked at me and said, "You're weird." Okay, so like I didn't have a Dungeons and Dragons play top set, where I could go and invite my friend. Like, no, we had a computer, and I was lucky if I had to play bills or we got a phone call, I got disconnected. That was that. No one gave a shit. Like he had much more of like that type of childhood, I guess, of like where he was. These stories and stuff like that were really interesting, and his dad's a total storyteller.
Yeah.
You hear how passionate he gets about talking about things. Like that's perfect for him and Kyle to celebrate. My dad, Jesus Christ.
See, but like my dad wasn't a storyteller. Neither was my mom.
Well, I'm answering for Kyle.
Yeah,
I can't
I know.
answer for you because I just know Kyle.
Kyle said, "I think I always saw how much dedication and time it took to really enjoy a game like Guild Wars, and I was never really sold on that."
Definitely. It was, what's funny is I tell the story of like me, I watched my aunt play, and that's how I got into literally that sparked my entire interests for the rest of my life. Like that to me is like the most they call that like what do they call that in the Marvel universe? Like some event happening, like singularity, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Like that was the singularity in my life because that launched my love for computers, technology, and really formalized a lot of stuff for me. I never played with her. I don't even know if I ever once played with her other than like the first night I downloaded it. Ever again. I was all by myself. Because she just never played the game. And she never wanted to play the game. Which I thought that was kind of weird. Because it was like, wouldn't you want to play with your nephew? But
just the one time she played it, you happened to...
Dude, seriously. And I'm not sure she ever logged in again to that game. Which is hilarious. Because she was like in the starter zone. So, yeah. Anyway, and I played as much as I could. I fell in love with the game. It was so cool. I met some really cool people. I remember their names. Matthew of Gondor was his name. And they had a guild hall. And we would 1v1. I was like a level 14, 15 warrior. And they were level 18. And they would fight me. And they would always kick my ass, clearly.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, one day, I'm going to be a level 18. And I remember I got max level first time, and I'm like spamming in guild chat, like, I got to level 20. It was like this big epic thing, and I earned it. And I got my full set of armor for the first time after some farming and shit like that. Like, God, it was so satisfying, man. It was so goddamn good, man. Oh, I can't stop. I'd say Billy and I had several times through our life where our gaming interests aligned, and when they did, we enjoyed the fuck out of it, but also it was a rare occurrence. Yeah, I mean, we both love COD. I would say even Kyle more so than I did. The reason being, we only owned one PlayStation console, so it was either me or my brother playing, and that was, I had the computer, he had the console.
Uh-huh.
So, and like he just dominated that. And also he was way better than I was. So I just let him kind of do his thing. And that was Kyle and my brother's thing. They were just fucking crazy on that damn thing. They were beasts. And I just, I was never, I was more the zombies guy. Me and Kyle were the zombies guys. COD. We got into Halo for like 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah, the exaggeration. But yeah, very, very brief. It was all console gaming. I really was never a console gamer. Ever. I really was not. I've probably beaten the story on 5 console games.
Well, you said Ratchet and Clank though, right?
So that's PlayStation 2.
But you like those games, yeah?
I played Going Commando, and that was the only one that I ever played, really.
Didn't you play the PS5 one that was released on PC?
On PC,
yeah.
Yes, I did that one. But I'm talking like on the PlayStation 2 era. That's all I ever really played.
Going Commando,
I believe,
which
was
is
the
a
only
good
one
one
I played, which was a fucking blast.
Yeah.
But again, that's from an era where you bought like 2 games a year.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have 100 games. Like our game, like we would put on our birthday, like Call of Duty and like Battlefield. And those
Yeah.
were the games you got that year. That was literally it. Like, we had the most standard of standard games. I did not have like this whole. Kyle always had these crazy games like Lord of the Rings and shit like that. Hell no. If I asked my parents to buy me, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? You have Call of Duty. Go play that.
Yeah.
I guess Rock Band or Guitar Hero. I
Guitar
mean,
Hero.
Big on that.
I had the
That's
hook.
a great story narrative game.
Yeah, it is. You know, there's a story of you becoming a Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
I had the Blockbuster Game Pass, or I had the whatever, but also before that, I
That was
had
the
the hookup
best.
at GameSpot with this manager.
GameStop or
GameStop.
Spot?
GameStop.
Oh, okay.
GameStop.
Because there was both of those,
GameSpot
right?
exists.
That's what I thought.
It's
yeah.
like a website, like review.
now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But GameStop, I had the hookup. There's this manager. He would let me. So you know how you could buy a game, return it within 7 days? I would buy the game, beat it within 7 days, return it, get a new game, and he would let me carry it on. So I
Lucky bastard.
I played so many games.
Dude.
And I remember most of them. Like, I remember Mass Effect was during one of those streaks.
Mhm.
And, like, that was the game. I would usually take back the game, but unless I really liked it, then I'd keep it. That was one of those games where I was like, yeah, this one's staying.
It's kind of crazy to me how much I've only played one game. Going through this history, like, we really... Matthew, so comment from Kyle here. Matthew even had a group of friends that he met on COD at one point in his life. He would say some were his best friends, like Woogie Man or Merc Session. Some classic name drops there.
Woogie Man.
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, my brother's sort of like a similar gamer. He played Guild Wars 1 too. Like, we shared an account and he had certain characters and he played a lot of Guild Wars 2 as well. But yeah, like, I guess we were like always maybe more social on the gaming side, but we didn't have a lot of games, dude. Like, for us to get a new game was a big fucking deal. And so like we had Guitar Hero and like that we played the shit out of that and that was like a lot of fun, but like we never owned a Wii.
Guitar Hero? I never owned a guitar. I
You
played
on a controller.
I played on a controller.
You're disgusting.
I'm still like I could
You're
pull out a controller. And
disgusting. Oh my god.
That'd be a little
I
bit
couldn't
rusty.
even imagine trying that.
I beat every Guitar Hero game that way.
Jesus. No, I'm going through it like that's literally the games that I remember. We had a shitty PS1 air hockey game because we would like we went and bought like these dollar bin games, about like a handful of those. We had a shit jet ski one, Crash Bandicoot that I never even attempted to play or beat any kind of story on that.
Crash Bandicoot's good.
Yeah, I don't know why.
There's
I
not
just
really a
never
story though. I mean, it's like a Saturday
we never
morning
progressed
cartoon.
through the
Yeah.
levels. I guess around the time when did PlayStation 2 come out?
I don't know.
What year do you think? I was gonna
2003.
say 2001. Let's see. PlayStation 2 came out in 2000. Okay, October of 2000. That's what I was gonna say. 2000 or 2001. I was already basically in the second or third grade, and I definitely didn't get a PlayStation 2 at launch. Okay, and I did not own a PlayStation 1. So it was like a few years later, and we bought a PlayStation 2 specifically because it was a DVD player.
I remember that was a
like
big
the way
selling
to
point.
sell parents on it.
But
Brilliant.
it's also a DVD
Yeah,
player.
exactly. And I bought it. I'll never forget the day I bought it with our Kyle's and I's mutual friend Ryan. Yeah, actually, Kyle, that is a real story. I'm remembering that right now. And I don't even remember the first game I played on. I think it was like a Spy Hunter. Remember that shit game that we pulled up with like the car racing? Never even played that past like the first thing. And Call of Duty, the Big Red One, something like that. That was what it was called. Had like a story on that.
The Big Red One?
Big
I don't
Red,
think it's called
something
that.
like that. The Big Red One?
I don't.
Yeah, let's see. Big Red One. It is Call of Duty, the Big Red One.
Call of
There
Duty
it is.
2?
Call of Duty 2, COD 2, Big Red One. Pretty sure I bought that one.
Huh.
and I played that story. I don't even know if I probably beat that. But then right around that time, I then get introduced to Guild Wars 1, and then now I'm
It's
done.
over.
It's
Done.
over. So like I don't really have that much experience on like an actual controller. I'm a mouse and keyboard boy through and through.
Do you like scary games? Do you remember?
Played Alien Isolation. But that's really the only horror game I've ever played.
Did you ever have a game scare you as a kid?
All the time, man. Like even in
Do
like
you have
the
one that
fun
like
one.
stands out?
The only one I could think of is Alien Isolation. I was hiding in a locker, and I thought the alien walked away, and then all of a sudden it rips the door off and fucking eats me. And that was spooky.
I still remember I rented BioShock from Blockbuster, the first one. I was probably too young. And so in the beginning, you go down into the city, right? And the lights, you're in this like submersible, the door's locked. You're in there. You have no weapon at that point. And like one of the splicers starts attacking it once you land, and it's like shaking and the lights go off, and then it walks in front and like drags the thing, looks in at you. Scared the shit out of me, and I didn't play the game. I took it back.
Whoa, that
And
was
then-
enough to shut it down.
For a young me. Eventually I went back to it, but
That's hilarious.
it sticks out in my memory. But that first time I was like, oh shit.
I bet if you still played it today, it would still do something inside you that other games wouldn't. because
Now,
of that.
well, now I have such a love for BioShock that no, like it's part of the experience. But yeah, that beginning part scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, man, that's the only thing I can think of. So I definitely did not have a PlayStation 2 at launch. Nowhere near it. I don't even know what year I probably bought it, but it was probably 3 or 4 years after the fact. It was late. And we had Spyro, I think, for it. I don't think I ever owned Spyro. I think that was like a friend who brought it over. I don't know. I'm trying to remember, but I was a big Game Boy Color gamer.
Oh, okay.
I grinded some of the early Pokemon games.
So you did like Pokemon.
Big time. There was one specific one. It was the silver. I don't
Silver's
remember.
the best.
I think it was silver. I can never remember the
Was
versions.
Lugia?
No, maybe that's not it. Maybe it was like the
Ho-Oh?
cyan version that I played. Actually, I don't remember.
Suicune?
Cyndaquil was my starter.
Cyndaquil.
Starter
Yeah, that's
Pokemon.
silver.
Okay, so
Or gold.
I grinded that game, and I pushed it so much to where I wasn't even getting experience from regular Pokemon anymore, and I was only getting
Fire Red.
Fire Red. Well, I definitely had the silver as well. Then, if Cyndaquil is in that,
Yeah.
I had a few, but the silver one is the one I grinded the most, and I'll never forget. Like, I grinded because I wasn't getting experience from regular Pokemon anymore because it was so high level, and I had my Cyndaquil pumped to like 117, 120 or something like that, and I could go up and I could solo the Elite Eight or what was
Elite
it called?
Four?
The Elite Four with one auto attack for every single boss. I had got it to that level.
Damn.
And I was like, yeah, now I've beaten the game. I'm done. Hell yeah. I literally could do the Elite Four or whatever it was, and I had it down to a science. I could defeat every person with one attack, but then I only had like 15 attacks because then you would be
The PP.
out. So I had to drink a potion, take one hit, and then boom, boom, boom. Because I didn't have enough uses of that attack.
So you would just use Cyndaquil.
100%. I had that chick pumped to the max. Beast.
Interesting.
Beast.
So you wouldn't switch at all.
Nope. And it was so funny. I actually used to take my little Game Boy to school, and I had a USB to USB cord.
Oh, the trading.
We would trade Pokemon. This guy traded me one of these egg ones. I don't remember what it was. It's an egg and it does nothing, and it takes forever.
Togepi?
Maybe. He's like, it was one that didn't have a defined level to evolve. It's like random. Usually they're assigned like level 12. They've it was like random. It was a range. And he's like, this motherfucker's not evolving. Like, I hate this guy. And I'm like, oh, I'll take him. And I got him involved and stuff. And oh, dude, I had a blast. Like, I was like, that was my game, man. Freaking Game Boy Color. I wish I still had my Game Boy Color.
I wish, speaking on Pokemon, I wish they would innovate. Because I was a big fan of Pokemon as a kid. And like there's the potential for me to go back into it if they actually
Pokemon Go?
okay. but a game
Yeah.
that doesn't
I don't
require
know
me
if
to be
they-
outside.
I feel like Nintendo phones it in a lot of the time.
It's not. It's Game Freak.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo, you look at like Zelda. I mean, that's still. I think that's HAL Laboratories or whatever.
Yeah, but like that's like saying, the studios that Sony owns and not like publishes for, like that they're their own studio. It's like it's really
Yeah,
it's a consensual relationship.
yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean? Like, Game Freak, how much Nintendo is everything and all influence for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they've definitely phoned it in with all those guys. So
They tried with games like Arceus, but it was a lackluster effort. Yep, I agree, Kyle. They tried to
what if they made like a Souls-like Pikachu game? Like you had to dodge.
like you were just Pikachu the whole time.
Yeah, like
I mean,
the
I
powers
think
of
you could.
Pokemon, but it was like an open world.
You could probably make it work, like Power World.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know.
I mean, I
It
don't
was
necessarily.
perfect for what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But like, I don't know. They don't necessarily need to change a lot of like the gameplay, like the combat or anything like that. For me, it would be you change the story and you make it more approachable for not kids. Because the last one I played that like really turned me off was Sun and Moon,
Okay.
and that one had like 4 hours of tutorials. And if you wanted to change your starter Pokemon, you had to go through those 4 hours again. And I was like, this is horrible. Like I'm not a baby. I know how to play Pokemon. Like, let me play Pokemon. So, a Baldur's Gate 3 mod set in the world of Pokemon just for Billy. There you go, Billy. The future of gaming.
So it'd still be like Baldur's Gate, so like the Dark Urge would be like Mewtwo.
Or would you have them to summon
Like,
as an action? You summon Mewtwo to fight.
and then they're only available for that turn.
Well, like they're there for the fight, but you have to choose who to throw out.
Listen, that'd be sick. Turn like
Turn based
I
is
don't
good.
inherently hate turn based. It just
Yeah.
has to be interesting enough. Because man, I'll tell you what, in Divinity Original Sin, I had like a 8 action combo that was fucking nasty. Man. That
That's
thing
my
was
only gripe
sick.
with Red Dead 2. The unavoidable training missions in the snow that take so long. Yes, same thing. If you start a new game in Red Dead 2, it's like it's a good like 45-minute to maybe over an hour of tutorial, and it's boring. Yeah. And I hate games that do that. Like, I understand the need for a tutorial, but also I'm an adult. I played games before. I'm not that stupid.
Well, Asmongold has this take that I really appreciate, which is a game like a great game at hour 50 should be a great game at hour 1. You know what I mean? Like you should never, it's not a good excuse to say it gets so good around hour 5. That's what, like, no. It might, and it might be enough to save the game from being decent.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't suck the first 5 hours. It should be good.
Yeah.
And you can make it good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been live way longer than I would have thought we were, especially with our topics tonight.
I
It's
know.
an hour and a half.
That's
Oh,
pretty
boy.
good. I did want to quickly mention Kunitsu Gami. Kunitsu
The
Gami,
positive effect.
Path of the Goddess. That's a Capcom game I played. It's like kind of flew under the radar in my opinion of like releases, and I get it. I think it is definitely they were working against themselves releasing this as they did, because if you look at it, very high barrier for entry. There's a specific person who's going to play this game. That person's me. Like if you live in Japan, that's
Okay.
pretty much it.
Weebs. Welcome.
Weebs. So, and the marketing isn't the best, but I played it. I got it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's a real-time strategy game where like you control a character and then you like assign almost like tower defense, like archers, woodcutters, what they're called, but like melee people, and then you fight off waves, and I'm really enjoying it. I did want to shout it out just because I think it is a fun game, and I don't think it's gonna get a lot of attention just because of how it looks. Like it looks daunting, and it doesn't look like when I first looked at it. Like I didn't even know it was coming out. When I first looked at it on PlayStation, I was like, "What the hell is this game? This looks like like that I Am Jesus game." That's what it looked like. But no, it's Capcom, like $60 game, full game, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm a big fan of Okami, which was also a Capcom game. I think it's made by the same development team. So there's like references to Okami in it and stuff, and like you can change your character to look like kind of like Okami theme. But it's a lot of fun because you do these missions where it's like tower defense, and then in the meantime you're like rebuilding villages, and so like you assign villagers to build, and then you'll go do a mission, and it tells you how many days or how many missions it takes for that thing to be rebuilt. But yeah, I'd recommend
cool.
if you're a weeb, go check it out because it's a good game. But otherwise, it'll take a little bit to encourage you to get that game.
Those types of games can be fun, especially like you get like this. You got to put your fingerprint on everything and kind of make it your own.
And especially, like part of the reason I like it and I liked Okami is the sense of humor and comedy in it is very alien to a Western, white boy that grew up in America. And it has the same type of like weird humor that's like, it's like, I don't know, it itches a scratch that you're like, huh. You're like, okay. Like you dance, the characters dance to get the demons to go away. And so I get it. It has to do like
combat
culture
in this game.
Yes. That's not how they're like, after you beat the wave, right? And you like your goal is to guide this character to this gate, and you're pretty much protecting her as the waves come. And it's like you have a day period where you prepare, and then nighttime is when the monsters come. And so your goal is to get her there. Once she's at the gate, dance time. And your guy has this sword, and these magic confetti like comes off of the tip of his sword, and he's sitting there swinging it like this, right? That's your guy's doing that,
dude.
And she's doing this choreographed dance, and you're like, and then the demons are gone.
Wow. Definitely not a game for me.
Probably not. But
all that build up, and then you dance the worry away.
It is it's
strategic.
There's like no story.
That is nice.
The combat and like the game or the strategicness is pretty fun. Like I had this boss almost whoop my ass of you're in this dark room and you have to light these candles or these lanterns, and once you light them all, it stuns him. Whole time you have to protect the girl too, and it's dark in the room, and your little minions can only fight people that they can see. So if it's dark, the archer can't shoot somebody who's in the dark. That was tough because you had to, and you can't light the lanterns. You have to tell them to.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're really playing the role of God.
Yeah, but I like it because you are engaged in it.
Cal says, yeah, I'm with Billy on this one.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a very high barrier for entry, made for specific people. I'm one of them.
How did you hear about this?
PlayStation Store, funny enough.
Oh, okay.
When I saw it on PlayStation Store, like I said, I thought it was like an I Am Jesus game. Like it looked like some piece of crap game, right? I didn't, like I said, they need to up their marketing because it does not look good. But then, as I've said on the podcast before, I like Skill Up, the reviewer. He reviewed it and he recommended it, and I trust his opinion. So it got me to look at it more, and I was like, oh, this is made by Capcom? And then I saw the Okami thing. I was like, fuck it. I'm in. I like Okami.
I'm in.
Yeah, because I want Okami too, so bad. Okami's like, did you ever play that? It's like Zelda. It's like that type of formula of like you have a dungeon and you would paint on the screen, it sounds weird, but like you stop time to paint. Like if you want to cut an enemy, you paint a slash, and then it
Does that?
Mm-hmm. So it's a really cool concept, and you like throughout the game you learn different pictures. So like you'll draw a bomb, and a bomb will show up, or you learn how to do specific things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, go check it out. It's like I said, high barrier for entry, so it's not everybody is gonna like this game. Which
And it's
I
on
wish
PlayStation. Is it only on console?
it's maybe is Capcom, are they console exclusive?
I don't think so.
So maybe it's on PC. It might be.
Okay.
Kunitsugami. Let me look it up real quick.
Kyle says, I do think that Japanese games are willing to take more risks than American ones. Yeah. I think everything's done through an investment lens.
Definitely. And
It's
it's
not necessarily
like,
a bad thing, but typically ends up being.
Like when you look at all the systems in the game, it's much more like it's not formula. It's
See, I love
they
a
had
game with
fun.
good systems.
They had fun making it, and you can tell. Interestingly enough, I think so. It's on everything.
Yeah.
PlayStation, all the
Switch.
stuff. And I think it's NVIDIA. You can play it on NVIDIA GeForce Now.
Oh, so it's that's like you can stream it. Like I think that's a subscription.
Oh, it's like a subscription.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, like Game Pass.
It might be even a cloud gaming thing, but yeah. It's like Game Pass.
But yeah, go check that out.
All right.
If you're at all interested.
Konnichiwa 1. Right?
That's Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess.
Dylan, where can people find us?
They can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, any major podcast listening platform, as well as right here on YouTube, where we're streaming right now. We start every Tuesday, 7 p.m., and we go until
whenever the fuck we want.
Whenever we want. But come join us, chat with us. It's a lot of fun. Kyle obviously was chatting with us tonight because he's not here. But yeah, come check us out next time.
Brother.
We miss you.
All right, and with a good KD, you get the dub.
Bye, guys.